stanza that we usually chant to revere or venerate the Dhamma is our target of explaining. Yeah. Now, for that, let's see the surface meaning of the terms or the virtues mentioned in this stanza. Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo. The Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One. Sanditiko, to be seen here and now, visible here and now. Akaliko, it is timeless. Ehipasiko, inviting inspection. Openaiko, upward leading. Pachatang veditabbo vinyuhi, to be realized by the wise by themselves. Now, before the explanation of these virtues, I would like to talk something about the term Dhamma. Now, when we read the Tipitaka or the suttas and also the commentaries, we can find a variety of meanings granted for Dhamma. But those meanings are to be understood based on the context. It is based on the context we can extract different types of meanings. Usually we can find the meanings of nature for the Dhamma, or phenomena, or characteristics. So, I'm not talking, or our goal of explanation of Dhamma is not related to any of those meanings. Our goal of explanation is on the Dhamma that we respect, that we take refuge as Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. So what is the meaning behind this Dhammang that we take refuge? And also that we chant the virtues related to what type of Dhamma that we are chanting is our goal of explanation. So the Dhamma that we mentioned in the stanza that I just mentioned, Swakhato, Bhagavato, Dhammo, etc. And the Dhamma we take refuge is twofold, or it has two aspects. The first aspect of the Dhamma is the teachings of the Buddha, the Buddha's words. The second aspect of it is the supramundane Dhammas, Nava Lokuttara Dhamma, ninefold supramundane Dhamma. These are the two aspects, teachings of the Buddha and the ninefold supramundane Dhamma. The teachings of the Buddha. Ancients categorized the whole or the entire teachings of the Buddha into three groups. The first word, the second word, and the third word of the Buddha. The first word of the Buddha was not a teaching given to somebody else. It was just a paean of joy. Just after the enlightenment, sitting under the same Bodhi tree, he wanted to express his overflowing joy, his unconditioned joy, his supramundane joy of Nibbana. So he put into words what kind of feeling, what kind of experience, what kind of situation now he is. He says, Aneka jati samsarang sandhavisang anibisam gahakarakam gave santo dukkha jati punam gahakaraka dittosi punagehangna kahasi sabate phasuka bagga gahakutam visankhitam visankhara-gatam chittam tanhanam khayamajjaga. He explains his struggle, he explains his work or his function of destroying the Gahakaraka, the builder of the house, called the life. And also he explains his status of the consciousness after the enlightenment. So this is the first word of the Buddha. And the last or the final word of the Buddha was Bandhadani bhikkhave amantayami vo vayadhamma sankhara apamadena sampadeta. Do not delay. Practice here and now. Everything is impermanent. Death can happen any moment. Practice today. Practice now. The last word of the Buddha. Now, in between this first word and the last word, there is a vast number of suttas, vast number of rules and regulations, vast number of talks given by the Buddha, resting for just 2 hours a day. 2 hours resting. Rest of the day for 45 years. Day by day, day by day. He was teaching Dhamma. He was teaching Dhamma for the sake of spiritual elevation of the audience, of whoever comes to him. Spiritual elevation based on the affinity of the audience. Sometimes they are just capable of reaching to the heavenly realms as they are rebirth. Sometimes just to stop their rebirth in the perdition, in the hellish realms. And sometimes they have the affinity to be enlightened, to be liberated. According to the affinity of the audience and in accordance with their cultural, religious, ethnic, educated, intellectual, according to the level or standard of the audience. Buddha swooped down to their level and helping them to understand his teaching with so much of different similes, metaphors, stories, different types of analyzing, all for the sake of the understanding of his audience, to elevate them spiritually to higher and higher, to stop their journey to hell, to initiate their journey to heavens, or to initiate their spiritual journey to Nibbana. The same Dhamma he explained in diverse manners. He explained his teachings. All these teachings were by-hearted by his immediate disciples, immediate students. And those teachings were transferred from generation to generation until they were written down in the oral tradition. And those teachings were the teachings of the Buddha given by 45 years as his second word. Now, there are two categories that we can find those ancients have put all the Buddha's teachings into. The first category as the Tipitaka, the Pitakas, 3 Pitakas. Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka, Abhidhamma Pitaka. Sutras, Sutta Pitaka, all the Buddha's teaching for the spiritual upper journey of the individuals are in the Sutta Pitaka. According to their different length and different size and the structure, they have categorized into 5 Nikayas. First one is called long length discourses or Diga Nikaya. There are 34 sutras are there. The second category, middle length discourses in the Majjhima Nikaya. There are 152 suttas are there. And the third category is Sangyutta Nikaya, concise teachings. There are 7,762 suttas are there in Sangyutta Nikaya. And then comes the Anguttara Nikaya, kindred saying. There are 9,557 suttas are in the Anguttara Nikaya. And then comes the Kuddaka Nikaya, the last category. This Kuddaka Nikaya has number of theses, number of books. Kuddaka Pata, Dhammapada, Udana, Itiuttaka, Sutta Nipata, Vimanavattu, Petavattu, Thera Gata, Theri Gata, Jataka, Niddesa, Patibhana, Apadana, Buddhavansa, Charyapitaka. These are the theses that we find in the Kuddaka Nikaya. And then comes the Vinaya Pitaka. The rules and regulations are categorized in this Vinaya Pitaka. Rules and regulations for the monastic monks and nuns. There are 4 books. Bhikkhu Vibhanga, Bhikkhuni Vibhanga, and Khandaka and Parivara. These are the 4 books in the Vinaya Pitaka. And then comes the Abhidhamma Pitaka. Yeah. Dhamma Sangani, Vibhanga, Dhatu Katha, Puggala Panyati, Kathavattu, Yamaka Patthana. 7 books. Now if you put all these books on one over the other, it might be around 7 feet tall. That much of words were uttered by the Buddha during his 45 years of ministry after the enlightenment. Why? Because it was his miracle, the teaching miracle. He is the teacher. We have to walk. We have to practice. We have to walk on the path that he shows us. So following different techniques, different methods, different arts and manners, Buddha taught this Dhamma, and they are all available to us today. They are all available. You are learning through these Dhamma talks, via books, via discussions. Nothing but the words of the Buddha, which were uttered and recorded in these Tipitaka of Sutta, Vinaya and Abhidhamma. This is the first aspect of the Dhamma as the Buddha's teaching. The second aspect of the Dhamma is Pariyatti Dhamma, Patipatti Dhamma and Pativeda Dhamma. First aspect, the triple Pitakas, Sutta, Vinaya, Abhidhamma. The teachings, Sutta, Vinaya, rules and regulations, Abhidhamma, the deeper teaching. Then comes the other category called Pariyatti Dhamma, Patipatti Dhamma, Pativeda Dhamma. Pariyatti, for the easy remembrance, especially for our youngsters, Pariyatti is the theory. The theory, basically it is the Buddha's Dhamma. It is the theory. Then comes the Patipatti, the practice. Third is the Pativeda, it is realization. The theory, practice, realization. I think it is just the same as today's education. Yeah. The theory you learn, then you apply it, then you realize it, then you understand it. So the Buddha's teaching is just the same. The Dhamma you learn, the Dhamma in the Tipitaka, Sutta, Vinaya, Abhidhamma, and especially Vinaya is just for rules and regulations for the monastics. So Sutta and Abhidhamma are the theory or the Pariyatti Dhamma. But this Pariyatti Dhamma or the theory, if it is limited to the theory, if it is just limited for the knowledge, without applying it, then that theory itself has no value in it. Knowledge itself has no value in it if you are not transformed through it. For example, you know that anger is wrong, patience is the right. You may have heard in many teachings of those enlightened masters, they explained how you can practice patience. in the demanding conditions where you are to be impatient, you have to be impatient, you can be patient. So you have the knowledge of the value of patience, how to be patient, how to practice patience. Everything is known to you. Knowledge is there. But the criteria or the measurement of the patience you have is completely different. It is in the empirical background. It is where you live, at home, at office, at school, on the roads, while driving, in the market town, marketplace. Unexpectedly, there are situations where your patience is questioned. Your patience is examined. Then that knowledge of your value of patience or the ability of developing that patience is examined in the practical background by you yourself. You can check it yourself whether I have that patience or not. Whether the patience I learned have it within me or not. So likewise, the Dhamma, the theory we learn, and if they are not absorbed within us, if we do not have adopted them within us, and if our life hasn't been transformed by that knowledge itself is not worthy. In other words, the Dhamma must be an art of living among us. Art of living. Living according to the Dhamma or applying this Dhamma to our day-to-day life, we can take in another sense as an art of living. Knowingly or unknowingly, we have an art of living. Our habit patterns, the way we live, the way we do things, based on our art of living. And is that art of living you have now creating more and more suffering, misery, stress, worries to you day by day? Or reducing? Is your way of living reducing your worries, stress, misery day by day? Now, if your way of living, if your art of living you have now today, the way you do things in your life, is it reduce your suffering or increase your suffering? Is it reduce your misery or increase your misery? If your art of living increase your misery, it cannot be the right art of living. It must be a wrong art of living. It is up to you. Reflect yourself and check whether my way of living increase my suffering, increase the suffering of the people I am living with, then I am living in the wrong way. So the Buddha taught us an art of living, which is very simple. People say that we cannot live according to the Dhamma. As the Buddha says, we cannot live in accordance with the Dhamma because we have been addicted to such an art of living away from Dhamma and increasing our misery. Not that the Buddha's art of living is difficult to be lived. It is easy, but our addiction is making it difficult to absorb the Buddha's art of living to our lives. Buddha's art of living is very simple. And if somebody can follow it, just as he start following it, he can find it by himself that his suffering, his misery, his stress, his worries start diminishing, start reducing. So the Patipatti is the art of living that the Buddha taught us to adopt and make it our art of living. It is Patipatti. It is the practice. And when somebody practices like that repeatedly, continuously, then he starts, beginning of course will be difficult, but when he starts practicing it, no matter how difficult it is, continuously put an effort to practice in accordance with the Buddha's teaching, by and by, he becomes familiar with the Buddha's advices, guidelines. It will become a familiar territory for him. Then by and by, he starts seeing, experiencing the result out of that practice. It will take some time. For example, if you start practicing meditation, you will not see any result out of one sitting. There might be hundreds of sitting that you have to continue day by day to have some results. But there will be results. You won't be disappointed. There will be results. But take some time because your habit pattern is different. Lifetime to lifetime, you are not practicing to concentrate. You are not habituating yourself to concentrate. Now you start concentrating. It will take some time. But this practice will not go in vain. One day you will experience that bliss, that joy out of that concentration. Sooner or later it will happen. When you experience that joy, that happiness out of your own practice, then you will become a person who has unwaverable confidence towards the Buddha, towards his teaching. A person who has this unwavering confidence towards the Buddha. With that confidence, you start to move on your spiritual journey towards the enlightenment. It might take few lifetimes, hundreds of lifetimes, but still you are moving towards that enlightenment. That is Pativeda realization. Now these are the triple aspects of the Buddha's teaching. Pariyatti, theory, learn it. Buddha says Sunata. Those days, the only form of learning was listening. So he says Sunata. Then remember Dhareta. What are you going to listen and remember? Pariyatti, the theory. Then comes the Pativeda. Then comes the Patipatti, the practice. Make the theory your own principle. Then becomes that principle of yours started transforming you, changing you. It becomes your own experience. That is Pativeda. Now, there are two types of offerings to the Buddha. Amisa Puja. You can offer Buddha with materials. All external, whatsoever you offer to the Buddha are nothing but materials. But if you offer something internal, something within you, something in your heart, that is something immaterial, something called principles. You absorb the principles of the Buddha into you and you change yourself. This offering is the highlighted offering by the Buddha. This offering is the elevated offering by the Buddha. This offering is the Buddha says sadhu. This offering is Patipatti Puja. Patipatti Puja. Offer Buddha with your principles. This is the offering that the Buddha always appreciated. Amisa Puja is important. Very important. Offering of materials to the Buddha is important. But at the same time, we should not forget, Dhamma is not just for listening or reading, arguing, discussing or writing. Dhamma is to bring into ourselves, absorb into ourselves and change ourselves by that absorbed Dhamma. Pariyatti, listen, remember, Patipatti, practice, make them your principles, and Pativeda, then realize. Then comes the other aspect of the Dhamma. They are the Navalokuttara Dhamma, ninefold supramundane Dhamma. Now, Lokuttara, Loka Uttara, Lokuttara. What is Loka? In Buddhism, there are three types of worlds. The first one is Sattaloka, world of living beings. You and me, animals, birds, fish, visible, invisible, big, small, all living beings belong to this Sattaloka. The second world is Avakashaloka. That is the physical universe. Avakashaloka, this physical universe where we live. The third world is Sankaraloka, world of formations. Now, Lokuttara is to go beyond. Uttara, Uttara is to go beyond. Which world? Sattaloka, world of living beings, outside to us. Avakashaloka, this physical universe, still outside to us. And the world of formations, Sankaraloka. Now, Lokuttara, world beyond. World beyond to the Sankhara formations. World beyond the world of formations is supramundane or world beyond, Lokuttara. What are the formations? This life is nothing but 5 types of formations or 5 types of aggregates. Physical body, Rupa, Rupa Skandha, the aggregate of form. Then since we have the form, aggregate of feeling is there. Vedana skandha. Since feelings are there, aggregate of sankhara. Sanya, aggregate of sanya. Perception, the aggregate of perception is there. Whatever we perceive, we react. Hence the formation, aggregate of formation, sankhara skandha. Feeling, perception and formations, sankhara, create the vijnana, consciousness, aggregate of consciousness. Form, feeling, perception, formation and consciousness. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. These are the aggregates. Every living being on this earth, human or non-human, doesn't matter. All living beings having these 5 types of aggregates. Even divine beings, beings in the Brahma realms, doesn't matter. All are inclusive in these 5 types of aggregates: form, feeling, perception, formations and consciousness. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. The problem is we are attached to them. We are connected to them. We have grasped them. They have become upadana. Rupa upadana skandha. We have grasped this formation, this form, so it has become my and my form, my body. My feeling, Vedana upadana skandha. We have grasped that feeling. Can you separate the feeling from yours? From you, can you separate the feeling away? Can you separate the perception away? Sanya. Sanya upadana skandha. Then comes the sankhara upadana skandha, formations. Then of course the vijnana, consciousness. Upadana skandha, vijnana upadana skandha. So vijnana skandha, the aggregate of consciousness, become aggregate of consciousness which is grasped. The grasped aggregate of consciousness, vijnana upadana skandha. Now lokuttara means going beyond this grasping, going beyond this attachment. As long as we are attached to these 5 aggregates, that means we are creating these 5 aggregates again and again. We call it the samsara, the rotation of the wheel. The rotation of the wheel of samsara is nothing but grasping into the 5 aggregates again and again, because all what we know is grasping. Going beyond this grasping is lokuttara. Which loka? The world of formation, sankhara loka. Going beyond this sankhara, going beyond these formations, going beyond this grasping. I hope you understand this. Yeah. In future Dhamma talks, I might be able to explain this furthermore, because we don't have such time to explain, because Navalokuttara Dhamma is ahead. Now, 9-fold supramundane Dhamma, or the Dhammas which bring a being beyond the world of formations, beyond the world of sankharas, sankhara loka. So ninefold. What are the 9? The first one, Sotapatti Magga Pala. Sakadagami Magga, Sakadagami Pala. Anagami Magga, Anagami Pala. Arahanta Magga, Arahanta Pala. That is 8. Then the 9th one is Nibbana. Sotapatti. Sota means ear. Apatti, fall in. That is the normal or usual translation. Another translation for this is Sota, water. Apatti, falling down. Falling down to the water. So the meaning is given stream winner. Stream. That stream is nothing but the stream will reach the ocean of Nibbana. The stream will go without stopping directly to Nibbana. You fall into it. That is the meaning of Sotapatti. You initiate your journey to Nibbana. There are so much of Dhamma to explain behind this Sotapatti. But unfortunately, we don't have time, luxury for that. Luxury of time is not there. 1 hour is limited for this talk. Now, a person who becomes Sotapanna, usually in the Buddha's tradition, they say they become Sotapanna by listening to the Buddha. Majority of the people who became Sotapanna, stream winner, they became Sotapanna by listening to the Buddha. And nowadays there are people who says only by listening Dhamma people become Sotapanna. That is a wrong understanding. It is just the majority. Buddha's teaching was so miraculous. If you let it come to you, come into you in its bare mode, that Dhamma can transform you. That Dhamma can change you completely. That Dhamma can change your stream of consciousness, the pattern of your thinking, way of your life completely. So the people who are fortunate to accept the Buddha's teaching as they are, while they are sitting and listening to the Dhamma, they are eyes of the Dhamma, Dhamma Chakkung Udapadi. Arisen in them, Udapadi, arisen in them, Dhamma Chakku, the eye of the Dhamma. That means they became Sotapanna. In the suttas, you cannot find they attained Sotapanna. Yeah? In the suttas, you can find this line, Dhamma Chakkung Udapadi. They are eye for the Dhamma, or eye of the Dhamma was arisen in them. That is how it is explained that they are attainment to the Sotapanna. Yeah? While listening to the Dhamma. But it doesn't mean only through listening to the Dhamma they became Sotapanna. By practicing it can happen. By practicing it did happen to many Arahants after the Buddha's passing away. They attained to these stages, Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahant, by practicing. To attain this stage of Sotapanna, you have to destroy 3 types of fetters. Sangyojana they are called. First one is Sakkaya Ditthi, false self-view. Sakkaya Ditthi, false self-view, I, my. The false one. The adopted I, my. Then Vichikicha, doubt. Doubt about the prenatal past, post-mortem future, doubt about the Buddha's teachings, doubt about the practice that the Buddha teaches us to practice. The second fetter is Silabbata Paramasa, attachment to righteous and rituals. These are very strong bondages. And these bondages, these fetters must be annihilated, destroyed when somebody is attaining the Sotapanna stage. What is the benefit? Once you become Sotapanna, you won't be reborn in hell. You won't be attached to the hellish realms after the Sotapanna stage. You will be Nibbanic bound. You will be at the maximum of 7 lifetimes. You will be enlightened. Your stream of consciousness will become enlightened at the maximum of 7 lifetimes. The second stage is Sakadagami Magga, people who are on the Sakadagami path, and Sakadagami Phala, people who have attained to the Sakadagami fruition, Phala, fruition. Sakadagami, Saking Agami, once written, whoever attains to this stage, if he did not develop further, he has to be reborn in the sensual blissful realms once more. Sucking once more. Agami, come back. Once more to come back. Why? Because he just attenuate the reason to be born in the sensual pleasures. He doesn't destroy the reason to be born in the sensual realms. He just attenuate, diminish it. What are they? Sensual desire, kama, raga, and patigha, anger. The sensual desire and anger are just attenuated, just reduced. They are not that strong now. Remember, the sensual desire is the very reason that we are attached to this physical body. We are born out of that sensual desire. And as long as we have that sensual desire, we are bound to return to physical bodies again and again to please the sensual pleasures. When you become Sakadagami, the second stage of sainthood, you just diminish that power of sensual pleasures, that power of anger. And then you come to the third stage, Anagami, non-returner to the sensual pleasures. Non-returner to the sensual pleasures. Why? They destroy that attenuated, that diminished sensual desire, kama, raga, and patiga, anger, completely, absolutely destroyed. When they have destroyed sensual desire completely, they are not to come back to these sensual realms of 6 heavens and the human realm. They are to be born in the pure land, Suddhavasa, Brahma realms. What are the Anagamis born? Anagamis destinations? Aviha, Atappa, Sudassa, Sudassi, Akanita. Aviha, Atappa, Sudassa, Sudassi, Akanita. These are the 5 pure lands where the Anagamis, non-returners, are born. There they will attain to the final emancipation of Nibbana and passed away there. They will never come back to the sensual realms. Then if somebody to be attained to arahantship in that life itself, that is the 4th stage of the 9-fold supramundane dhammas, arahanta magga, who are on the path of destroying the fetters of the arahanthood. Arahanta phala, who have destroyed the fetters of arahanthood and have attained to the arahanthood. What are the fetters? Rupa raga, attachment to the form or the fine material Brahma realms. subtle attachment. Meditators may have that attachment. Meditators who have developed that ability to be born in the Brahma realms. Yeah. So the Rupa Raga, attachment to the fine material realms. Arupa Raga, attachment to the immaterial realms. Mana, conceit. You can see even when you become anagami, still that conceit, the pride is still there. Mana or conceit is to be destroyed only when you become arahants. Yeah. Mana, pride. Uddacha, restlessness, and avijja, ignorance. Attachment to the fine materials, attachment to the immaterials, conceit, restlessness, and ignorance. These are the 5 fetters. On the stages on the way to the Nibbana, as the Arahants have to destroy it, as the Arahants to be have to destroy it, to be Arahants. So, as the path and fruit, on the way, and as the ones who have attained path and fruition, there are 8 types, these 4 stages. These 4 stages are divided into 8 groups as the paths and fruits. Just to remind you, stream winner, path, who are on the path and who are on the fruition. Once returners, who are on the path, who are in the fruition. Non-returners on the path and who are in the fruition. And Arahants on the path and in the fruition. Magga Pala. The last one is the enlightened. Ultimately, the Nibbana comes. Nibbana and these 4 stages with their paths and fruits are altogether taken as 9-fold supramundane Dhammas. So these are the aspects of the Dhamma that we are going to explain the virtues in the future. Or these are the aspects of the Dhamma we take refuge as Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Yeah. The Dhamma as the Buddha, as what the Buddha taught, the Dhamma recorded in the Tipitaka, and the Dhamma in the supramundane stages towards Nibbana are all together we call the Dhamma is something well explained, Swakhato, Sandittiko, to be seen here and now, Akaliko, timeless, Ehipassiko, inviting inspection, Opanaiko, onward leading, Pachattang Veditabbo Vinyuhi, to be realized, to be experienced by the wise. That Dhamma, these explanations of the virtues are going to explain in our next talk. Please join us next Saturday with the Dhamma talk. Today I explained to you the 2 aspects of that beautiful Dhamma, explained as onward leading, inviting inspection, to be seen here and now. Yeah. So that Dhamma contains the Buddha's teaching, which are recorded in the Tipitaka Sutta Vinaya Abhidhamma, then also explained as Pariyatti, Patipatti, Pativeda. Pariyatti, the teaching or the theory, Patipatti, the practice, and Pativeda, the realization. Then comes the Navalokuttara Dhamma, ninefold supramundane Dhamma, Sotapatti Maggapala, extreme winner, path and fruition, Sakadagami Maggapala, once returner, path and fruition, Anagami Maggapala, non-returner, path and fruition, Arahant Maggapala. Yeah. Then Nibbana. Altogether, these ninefold supramundane Dhamma, ninefold Lokuttara Dhamma, Nava Lokuttara Dhamma, together with these two aspects, we call it Dhammam. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Today, this Dhamma talk was sponsored by Mr. and Mrs. Tusita and Chinta Vijayasinghe. I will repeat the aspirations again in memory of their loving departed parents to share these merits wherever they are, however they are. May all those departed parents and relatives, ancestors, forefathers of Mr. and Mrs. Tusita and Chinta Vijayasinghe and all of yours, if they are ever in a situation, ever in an existence where they are waiting to be rejoiced with your merits, may all our departed ones be rejoiced with our merits. May their present existences become blissful, happy and peaceful. May they be enabled to move on to a better life, better existence with the power of these merits. May all the divine beings, devas, be rejoiced with these merits. May they be supportive for you to live these lives peacefully, happily, to be fulfilled with your aspirations, to realize your dreams, to walk on your paths to the success. May the Deva's assistance be with you always. They also wish to convey merits to all departed relatives and friends. They also want to convey the blessings of the noble Tripajam to all our praise, family, friends, devotees and all beings for good health, long life and success. Ultimately, they wish may all beings be well, happy and peaceful. May they rejoice in listening to the teachings of the Dhamma. May they attain to the final bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sabbityo vivajjantu, sabbarogo vinassatu, mate bhavatu antarayo, sukhi degayuko bhava. Sadhu, sadhu.